It is Y105, Dubuque's #1 hit music station. My name is Steve Pulaski. My next guest has been a character actor for many decades, a fixture in everything from Twin Peaks, RoboCop, Tim and Eric, and more. He reprises his role as Peter Kane in God's Not Dead, In God We Trust, the 5th installment in the long-running film franchise, which hits theaters on September 12th. He is Mr. Ray Wise. Ray, how are we today?
I'm great, Steve.
Describe your character, Peter Kane, who was in God's Not Dead 2, and his role in the newest film.
Yes, well, Peter in God's Not Dead 2 was an attorney, and in this new film, God's Not Dead, In God We Trust, he's a career politician. He served in the state senate, and now he's running for Congress, and he's running against our hero in the movie, David A.R. White, and that's the basic conflict right there.
What do you want people to take away from God's Not Dead and God We Trust?
Well, I think it's an uplifting, inspirational film, and much like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, where you can root for the underdog, a guy who's out of his comfort zone and he's trying to serve his community. He's trying to reestablish his value system, and that's basically the story, I think, here.
When you were asked to be a part of God's Not Dead 2, at the time, had you seen the original film? Was it on your radar?
Yeah, I'd seen it. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And certainly, once you're cast in one of them, then you go back and you see all of them. That's the way it works. You familiarize yourself with the territory you're going to be in.
He is Ray Wise. Again, God's Not Dead, In God We Trust, coming to theaters September 12th. A few questions while I have you, Ray. I'm a big fan. You're a ubiquitous presence in horror movies. What do you love about the horror genre?
Oh, well, I love being in them, and I love watching them. I love to be scared. I love to feel fear in my theater seat. Not actual fear, but that kind of fake fear. Where it's watching what's going on the screen. I love horror movies. I have since I was a little kid, from the Creature of the Black Lagoon in the 50s. That's where I started out, and I've gone on since then. In your opinion, what would you say is the scariest movie that you've done? Like, going back and watching that movie, what do you think was probably the creepiest movie that you did? Probably Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me. I think Leland Palmer was one of the scariest characters I've ever played. When you were involved in Twin Peaks, how much information were you given about your character, Leland? Did you know what your character was and would eventually do, or were you kind of going on a script-by-script basis? Walk me through that. Well, I was. The actors were. We were going on a week-by-week basis, and I thought that Leland was a grieving father who lost his daughter, and I didn't find out the true nature of Leland's character until the day before the reveal scene, and so it was a big shock to me, and I was hoping that it wouldn't turn out the way that it did, but it did, but it was very well done, so I was very pleased about that. I was always struck by your performance, Ray, in Jeepers Creepers 2. You're the anchor of that movie, in my opinion. I think you're kind of the emotional soul of that movie. You also did another movie that I think is underrated. It's Rosewood Lane, both of which directed by Victor Salva, too. What was your experience working with Salva? It was a fine working relationship. I did several films for him. I did Peaceful Warrior. I did Powder, a film called Powder, and Rosewood Lane was an interesting story and an interesting character, and Rose McGowan starred in it, and we had a good working relationship. Any fun stories from the Jeepers Creepers 2 set? Oh wow, just standing up in front of that creature, and sometimes I would be just a few feet away, and he was a pretty scary-looking creeper. He scared me just looking at him, and it was a great makeup, and of course Jonathan, who played him, is Jonathan Breck, is a great fellow actor, and we had a good relationship, and yeah, a lot of creepy stories evolved from that film, and I can't think of any offhand that I could relate to you.
How did you get linked up with Tim Heidecker and Eric Wareheim for Tim and Eric?
Well, they were Twin Peaks fans. They were Leland Palmer fans, so I guess they wanted to meet me, and they called me in, and then we started working together, and we have the same sensibilities, and we had a great time. I did a music video with Eric for a band called Beach House. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but that was fun to do. And then I did their bedtime stories, too, which were these short films, these short stories. So, yeah, they're a couple of crazy guys, and we got along very well.
Do you like that style of humor, you personally, that kind of absurdist, off-the-wall, unpredictable style of humor? Does that kind of fit in your own personal wheelhouse there?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and I like all styles of humor as long as it's funny, and not harmful.
I can agree with that right there. Ray, one more question for you. Your filmography is dense, movies, TV shows over the course of several decades. What are some of the most underrated performances in your catalog? What would you say are movies that you wish more people knew about, more people seen? What are some of those?
Oh, wow, that's a good one. A movie I did with Charlie Sheen called The Chase. Of course, I love the movie I made with Sean Connery and Wesley Snipes. Underrated, yeah. Well, there's a movie called Digging Up the Marrow that I wish more people would see. That's a horror film, and the tagline for that movie would be "Monsters are real." Digging Up the Marrow, I think, is underrated. And also another horror film that I did called Dead End, where I did with Lynn Shay, and I think that's very underrated too.
He is actor Ray Wise. His new movie, God's Not Dead, In God We Trust, hits theaters on September 12th. Ray, you're awesome. I look forward to seeing your performance in the movie. I'm going to leave you with the final word. Anything else you want to touch on about God's Not Dead, In God We Trust? The floor is yours.
Well, I think that I just want people to go out and see it, and most importantly, I want everybody to vote.
He is Ray Wise. Greatly appreciate your time, Ray. I wish you nothing but continued success. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. My pleasure.